Hey everyone, welcome back to TwoSun Tuesday. This is not the TwoSun we'll be taking a look at. I just opened them up a couple of minutes ago, so I don't really have all that much to report, I suppose. It's a very, very interesting model from Jelly Jerry. Very big. Reminds me quite a bit of this 6-leaf SL25, SL24 that just recently came out as well, but this is titanium and carbon fiber and a steel liner lock. This is basically like a sub bolster lock. I'll call it that, with two different kinds of micarta there. For the most part, pretty good. There's one really egregious quality control problem, or maybe two, and one kind of design problem that I have with it. But, that's just kind of my first impressions on it. It's not really the knife I'm talking about today. Today we're talking about this guy here. This is the TS147. And I got the green one, but I think there was also a brown natural one, or maybe they dyed it black or something like that. I'm not sure. Either way, yeah, here we are. This is a little ugly thing here. Very much a stubby little Tonto kind of thing. Almost like, man, I'm trying to think. It's a Mork Neve of some sort. Maybe the Idris or the Eldris. That little tiny carving knife that doubles as a neck knife sort of thing. But it has a larger handle. But that's just kind of what I was thinking of on this guy. This thing is interesting. This is a Y-Start collaboration, and one that they actually have that on the blade outside of the first collaboration that they did with them that now they're accrediting them with. I think that was the 132. No, it wasn't, but it's somewhere right around in that range. I don't know. But yes, despite the number on it being in the 100s, this is a fairly new knife. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. It's another budget model, so we have that folded over steel clip. We have the enormous version of the Collab pivot collar, the kind that's domed, even though it's inset into the micarta on both sides. Kind of a strange idea there. And then we have some kind of markings on this side here, some milling into the micarta. This is their newer actual canvas micarta. It's not their Meh-carta. It's not great micarta. They've done some better stuff in some other models, but it is what it is, and it's definitely a step up. So I will give them credit for that. There is no lock bar access whatsoever on this guy here. And I actually do find it quite difficult to disengage. It is scalloped on both sides, but I really have a hard time getting my thumb meat in there to be able to actually disengage it. We're not too bad on the blade being too close to the spine. I don't really have any problems there, and that might just be because the blade stock thickness on it is well, no, I'm wrong on that. So I guess it is technically just far enough away. It just kind of looks a little bit closer than it might otherwise be. We got a little hidden lanyard post there. G10 backspacer, not micarta. Said it quite a few times. It's more of a budget answer option, and this is definitely a budget knife here. The detent on it is actually quite nice. You can easily fail it, but it's a small enough sort of knife. But the detent feels decently crisp for you to thwack that out with some authority. It does have this channel kind of milled in there. I wouldn't call it a fuller because it doesn't extend out, I suppose. In a pinch, you can deploy it with two hands, but I don't know, if you had really, really large hands, you probably would still have a little bit of a difficulty getting a grip on that. So, yeah, flipper tab's definitely the way to go on it. Ergonomically, it's like a 2.5 finger knife for me. And there's no jimping up top here. There is technically a finger choil, but this is a night morning kind of design, so it's definitely not large enough for me. But even so, that turns it into a 3, maybe 3 1/4 finger knife. Another thing I will say about this thing is the blade geometry is I'm going to say pretty much atrocious. I don't appreciate it whatsoever. It came dull as rocks. It couldn't cut anything. And I've tried a bit and ground away at the blade to be able to do that, but I haven't finished. I did finish the hollow grind area, at least to a decent extent. It's not super crazy sharp, but it'll at least cut something. But yeah, this up here, immensely thick. So the cutting geometry on this really isn't great, and it came dull as rocks out of the box. And I'm pretty sure that's kind of how all of them have come. I don't think that mine was just so overwhelmingly underground that it didn't really have an edge on it. But, like I said, I was trying to put an edge on it, and after a while, I was like, you know what? This isn't worth my time. I don't like this knife. But that being said, I don't think anybody else did either, so I'm not really going to take the time and effort probably to try to put a listing up for it or anything to try to sell it. It's just kind of this is bad and everyone should just kind of move on from it. Another kind of problem that I end up having is while the blade is out and about, it has some wiggle. I'll put this right up to the microphone here. Yeah, you can probably hear that a little bit. And that's just kind of, makes the knife almost feel broken when you're trying to close it, even though it's not. And I've had that problem on some really budget or, no-name kind of knives, but not so much on some others unless they had internal bearing races that weren't actually secured down well enough with either some adhesive or some relatively thick oil or something like that to keep them in place, so they're actually moving as well as the bearings. Yeah, it's not super great. We do have quite a bit of holes going on here, milling to try to keep the weight down just a little bit. That being said, it's not super crazy lightweight for what it is. But yeah, let's go ahead and do some stats on this guy. 3.9 millimeter blade stock thickness. In what way, shape, or form is about a 2-inch knife useful being that thick? I don't know, but apparently Y-Start and Night Morning thought it was a pretty good idea. So yeah, really thick blade stock thickness. We got 2.17 inches from kind of out there out to the tip. That is 55.1 millimeters. This knife weighs 3.47 ounces or 98.5 grams. So yeah, like I said, not incredibly lightweight. I think a lot of that probably has to do with just the crazy thickness of the blade though. And a handle thickness of 0.60. So they tried to fill it out a little bit. But of course, with a smaller knife there, with that folded over deep carry pocket clip, it really don't feel good to squeeze on this guy. Really put a whole lot of pressure on it. That would be 15.3 millimeters thick for all y'all. And then, yeah, pretty much I tried to do 17 degrees and 20 degrees for trying to sharpen this up. Like I said, I didn't finish, but it at least kind of matches some bevels, even though they're much thicker. This was probably done at like 22, and this was like 26 or something like that when I got it. Yeah, so unfortunately, not a whole lot of good things to say about it, other than that it was cheap, like super cheap. I think maybe $23 or $25 is what I ended up spending on the auction for this guy. So, at least I didn't have a whole lot of my money stolen from me or, whatever. I don't know. Let's go ahead and do some blade comparisons here. I will ignore doing anything really large because it really doesn't need to have any of that there. But there's the PM3, which looks pretty enormous next to it. There's the Benchmade Bug Out, also quite large in comparison. I lost the Elementum again. I need to do a little bit better with that. There's the K-Bar Dozier Folding Hunter, and there's the Elementum now that I've picked it up, both of which also look quite large. In this particular instance, I'm going to grab like a slip joint as well that a lot of people are probably familiar with. We got the Real Steel Luna here. This is the Stormtrooper kind of thing. And even that is, quite a bit larger, at least in length. And sure, why not? One of the Sodbuster Jr. kind of things from Boker. Also, much longer. So we can see that it's definitely a smaller knife, for sure. As, the little over 2-inch blade would really allude to. Like I said, I can't. It doesn't cut worth a darn because it's way too thick in blade stock and in ground geometry, both with the hollow grind as well as the flat there. I'm not sure exactly what their whole idea was with this guy in particular, but well, it is what it is. I would say avoid it. There are a couple other fairly small knives that they came out with right around the same time. And I think there's one even from David Chen, the TS147 that's just being released. It might be just a little bit larger than this, but I think it's in G10 and N690 blade steel instead of the the obligatory D2 on here. Oh, look, I got a number. Mine's number 48. I hadn't seen a whole lot of them for sale, so I'm going to guess maybe they did a run of like 100 or 200 or something like that, and maybe quite a few of them remained internal to China or something like that. Not sure, but yeah, there we are with my standard review on this guy here and all the specs. So, for those of y'all who are familiar with the channel, I'm going to go ahead and take this guy apart so we can see what's going on the inside. If that's not something that's super interesting to you, you are more than welcome to find something else on YouTube or elsewhere that will take your attention. Yeah, here we go. So underneath that pocket clip, we have their standard kind of Chicago screw. There we are with that. Oh. And there we go. I did put some... Nope, that wasn't me. Okay, so that came from the factory with Loctite, or some sort of thread locker, which isn't uncommon with TwoSuns, but they do use it fairly sparingly overall, so not a whole bunch of them end up doing that. We do, in this one in particular, have brass cages for the ceramic bearings, and we don't really have any kind of bearing race or whatever that would usually be dropped down a little bit here, and in general that makes me think quite a bit that at least quite a bit of the hardware for this thing in particular was provided by Y-Start rather than TwoSun. I think I've said it on one other model that they did a collaboration with, where I think TwoSun may have done the blades, but the handles and everything like that were kind of done elsewhere. Kind of seems that way. It's possible that, yeah, I mean, TwoSun probably ended up doing the Micarta handles and everything here, especially with the larger call out pivot collars or something like that. But yeah, I really don't see very many TwoSuns having a whole lot of circular kind of holes cut out, or having the differing liners that don't have any drop down for any of that stuff there. Yeah, it's got a little bit of schmutz and stuff in there. At least the show side, not the lock bar side, or the show side rather than the lock bar side has the D-shaped cutout there on it. But yeah, this is quite a bit different than what you end up seeing from most TwoSuns. It's quite a bit different. But overall, and just kind of the fit and finish and the way it feels and everything like that, I don't think it's positive, unfortunately. This one in particular, I'm not really going to bother trying to do a re-lubrication job or anything like that on it. There's the blade stop pin. There we go here. Toss the other one on. Then hit the G10 backspacer and all of that. There we go. That's at least back in there. Also with that Loctite, or thread locker of some sort that they got going on there, it is a bit different with the kind of white finish, whereas a lot of the other stuff that I've seen from TwoSun when they do it is it's a little bit more white on there. It's probably using a generic form of Vibratite or something like that. But we can also see that thread locker stuff on the pocket clip screws. And that's something TwoSun doesn't do on like any of them. So yeah, this thing is built different. Not good, but it's built different. Yeah, there we go. This thing never particularly had amazing action, so I'm not going to really try to tune the pivot all that much on it. Besides, I didn't re-lubricate it or anything like that after clearing out some of the schmutz of stuff. But yeah, there we go. There's a TS147. Definitely one that I would probably consider being avoided, because there's much better knives out there in this same size, still from TwoSun or from quite a few other manufacturers. This just misses a whole lot of marks. But hey, at least you have that information. So, you know, you can definitely make a judgment call on if you would rather have this and seek one out, or for the most part remain sane and leave this one to those of us who were silly enough to purchase it just because it was a new model. But alrighty, there we go. As always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe.